Thank you so much for everybody joining in today on this special podcast where we are hosting two guests today. And the first one will be Kirsty MacDonald. Thank you so much for joining in today from the Rooted Life. She is going to elaborate a little bit more on synthetic versus organic supplements, as well as giving us a little bit of advice. And I'm so happy to have you with us today. And then our second guest is Samuel De Beer from GS Counselling and Coaching. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining in today.
Thank you so much.
All right, Kirsty, there is a lot of questions that our clients have with regards to different supplementation that is safe for them to use. So first of all, I would just like to put in a disclaimer before we start, saying that, all information that we are going to talk about and share today is really for informative purposes only. So if there's any questions that you have, please note that you will always need to talk to your healthcare practitioner, a qualified healthcare practitioner, with regards to the advice that we are going to share today. So I just would like to put that in before we start, so that all the listeners that's going to join in, that they are just aware of that. All right, so there's so many clients that have a lot of questions that they are asking. And the first question that I normally get, especially in the days that we are living in today, is when we look at synthetic supplements on the shelves, what is the difference, Kirsty, between the synthetic stuff that we get and then going over to the organic stuff?
So, thank you, firstly. I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that the difference between synthetic and in its natural form, so let's call its natural form whole food sources, just for the sake of this discussion, is that when you go to a shop and you take a bottle of vitamin C off the shelf, in your head, you're thinking that is a natural source of vitamin C. And the problem often lies not only in the fact of the manufacturers and who owns the company and stuff, it's what goes into that. So in terms of synthetic vitamin C, so like ascorbic acid, what else is in there? So it's bulking agents, it's fillers, it's caking agents, it's the capsule that it's in. So there's a whole lot that goes into it in terms of it being synthetic and a whole food source. So one of the biggest I suppose, kind of things to really be aware of is the manufacturers. So in a lot of instances, a lot of natural companies have been bought out by much bigger pharmaceutical companies. And the contents of the capsules or the vitamins or anything are completely synthetic, GMO, lab-created vitamins, as opposed to being a whole food source. There are so many businesses and like companies that started. So like Nature's Best in England was completely bought out by Merck a couple of years ago. So now if you do a little bit of digging, you'll know that Merck is the manufacturers. They are a pharmaceutical company, and they are owned, Nature's Best is owned by Merck. Merck is also the manufacturers of the MMR vaccine. So their trading name is not even shown on the product because they're still trading as Nature's Best. So a lot of the times, the smaller companies have been bought by bigger corporations, and their ingredients are completely changing to involve E numbers, to dyes, to all synthetic lab-grown alternatives, and then also GMO products. So one of the biggest differences in terms of like your body being able to absorb the nutrients and the vitamins is that the ingredients aren't bioavailable, which means that your body can't digest them correctly. So that is one of the big red flags. And in some cases, the quantities and the proportions of the vitamins in there, even with them being synthetic, cause more damage than good. So it's something that I've created. I've got a list that I'm going to share with you afterwards. That's something that can be sent to people just to look out for ingredients in something, because I understand that sometimes you need to people are going to be in a position where they only have the ability to buy something that's synthetic. And in that instance, there are ingredients that we need to be aware of that really do more damage than good. And I mean, one of the alarming things is the regulations. There's just it's such a gray space, and they can get away with putting so many different things in. So if we look at something in terms of vitamin C and ascorbic acid and citric acid, they are created using the spores of black mold. So someone could take what they're thinking is a vitamin C supplement, and in a lot of cases, people actually will go, oh, I'm allergic to vitamin C, or I'm allergic to ascorbic acid or something. And it's the black spores, because it's not being derived from the fruit or the vegetables. It's actually coming from like lab produced off black mold. And of course, everybody's allergic to black mold. So it's things like that. They're really significant big things that go on in the pharmaceutical and the health supplement industry that people aren't aware of. And that's, I think, just for me, that there's just so many red flags in it, that you're so much safer using natural products, because your body can absorb it.
Kirsty, I wanna just jump in here quickly and just validate what you're saying, because in God's word it says, the Bible teaches us that God created the earth and everything in it, Genesis 1 verse 1. And this natural remedies utilize the healing properties found in the plants and herbs that Yahweh created for us.
Yes.
So that we can have that natural remedies for our bodies to get that healing that, you know, that we want to, because it needs to be natural. Whatever you put in extra, that's where the problem comes in. And I think, well, me and Charmaine are so happy that we can work with you, you know, working with trauma clients and all emotional issues. This is where the physical aspect comes in the aftercare, that we want our clients to understand. The more natural, the more better.
Yeah. And like you've hit the nail on the head, because whilst we can talk about supplements and all of that, it's so important that people are working with, like you and Charmaine, to be able to address those other areas as well. Because whilst we can be making those changes, you know, in terms of what we're eating and everything, you really need to address everything else that is happening at the moment. So like those scans, and just, you know, being able to converse with you guys and everything, it's so beneficial to do that whole package of things together. And I think also it's really important to note that you can't patent a herb. Nobody can patent a herb. So the pharmaceutical industry and the supplement industries cannot make money from herbs. So of course, their immediate, you know, what they're going to do is belittle the power of what Abba Father's given us, because you can't patent that. They can't make money off of that. They can, however, make money from herbs that are from manufactured herbs and from synthetic supplements, but not the real thing. So I think that's really important to note as well, that you kind of need to unlearn everything we've learned, and that there is tremendous power in the things that Abba Father's created for us to use, not only as medicine, but to preserve our health and wellness. I think that's quite important.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. I'm so glad that we have this chance to actually talk to you, because God's word also states, you know, that his people are perishing because of a lack of knowledge. And
lack of knowledge,
I think,
absolutely.
yeah, I think the fact that we have such a lack of knowledge, you know, we've been conditionalized into thinking a certain way, and thinking, you know, that because we don't have the knowledge of actually how to use plants or utilize them to actually benefit us. At the end of the day, that's why we then jump forth from this thing to that thing and say, you know, this doesn't work and that doesn't work. And overall, we just give what, like you say, like vitamin C, for example, we just give that a bad name, but we're not actually aware of what is inside of that specific product. And I think if you can also just talk a little bit on vitamins, you know, there's so many people that would like to, you know, when we do the scans for people on the bioresonance machine, and also Samuel that also does these scans, we normally find that people are deficient in vitamins. All right. So they would like to know what is the safest way to get all of those vitamins into their body. And would it be able, would you, for example, be able to put some vitamins in a tincture? And what is, without going into all the detail, but just explain to us what you do in a process of extracting, for example, vitamins in a form of a tincture for a client.
Okay. So I think it's really important to note, to begin with, that our soil and our land and our food and our skies and our water and everything, we are so depleted of vital nutrients and vitamins now. I think land has been overfarmed, you know, the growing conditions are different. They're spraying pesticides. There's there's just, I mean, the chemicals in the sky, the water and everything is just, it's depleting our bodies. Yeah. Yes, depleting our bodies so dramatically of vital nutrients and vitamins that we're just needing to survive. That I really feel that there's a massive amount of importance in starting by starting to take something along the lines of the shilajit or the fulvic and humic acid. I think that is really important. And the reason I say that is because all of those are able to increase the absorption and the distribution of vitamins and minerals. And it doesn't help if we start taking vitamins and minerals and our body is so depleted that it's unable to process it the way it needs to be taken. So my first step is always, in pretty much everybody, including younger children, is to introduce the shilajit or the fulvic acid and the humic acid, because that really gives you a really good solid base and foundation to work up from. And then we can start introducing the vitamins and the other minerals, and we know that your body has a better chance of being able to balance out those deficiencies. So I think that's really important. That would probably be my first step in 99% of the protocols that I develop.
Oh yeah, that's something that's so important that I always tell my clients as well, because a lot of the minerals that we are also lacking in our bodies work with vitamins, you know, so we
That's
need one.
exactly
Yeah,
it.
that's the reason
wanna
why you're
just-
saying that. Yes.
And for hormones for men and women, it's so important. I mean, I've been working with Kirsty for a while now, and we are working on a protocol for men for the testosterone and the shilajit I've been using for a while now, and I've been getting so much breakthrough in my own health with that natural remedy. So I love that concept, and to get foundational stuff for our clients that comes out of the nature, out of his creation that he created for us, so that our body can heal and balance back. But then, you know, one aspect today is the body with the herbs, then we get the soul, which is the emotional stuff, and then we get the spirit. And incorporating all three, because what does God's word says? He wants us to prosper spirit, soul, and body. And usually we are sometimes so out of balance. It's either just all on the natural remedies, but not doing the soul work, the emotional work, or the spiritual work. And that's why I love this, that we can take hands and look at all three aspects. You know, we have these devices and all of these tools that can help with trauma and can help identify imbalances in the body with all vitamin deficiencies or hormonal deficiencies or mineral deficiencies, so that we can help the client with the correct understanding. You know, it's spirit, soul, and body. And now today with the body, we can bring that to the table for them, and let them choose. It's either going to be the chemical stuff, but you're going to always have another open door when you use the chemical stuff in your physical body. It's never going to come into that balance that God created our bodies to come into that balance.
Yeah, no, it's so true.
Yeah, and I think what I would just like to add with regards to this is when I wrote my course on hormones, I also, had a whole module in there for explaining what do all of these synthetic things do. At the end of the day, they only block your receptors on the cells. And the moment that you stop using that, even if it is a supplement, the moment that you stop using that, at the end of the day, the symptoms are there again. The symptoms are back. So we really need to equip ourselves with knowledge. And also, when you are talking about these different things, and I hope that we will be able to speak to you again and do another podcast where we just go a little bit more in depth into some of these areas. But we need to equip ourselves with this and not really just rely on somebody else to help us, with our journey. Because a lot of people are relying so much on pharmacy and pharmaceutical supplements and whatever, and there's a place for that. But then there's a time that we need to make a decision and say, listen, I don't want to go on like this forever. I want to change. I want to be able to, at the end of the day, come off of my hormone tablets or come off of my high blood pressure medication. I don't want to use that for the rest of my life, because that's almost like a death sentence, when you go to a doctor and a doctor says, listen, you have, for example, a high blood pressure, you'll be using high blood pressure medication for the rest of your life. And I just wanted to touch on that because maybe that's something that we can speak about again in a next podcast. But if we give our body, like you said, we give our body what it needs, we are supporting the body. And on a physical level, when we are giving these natural herbs and even essential oils and whatever it is that we are including in the protocol, it is to help the body to being able to deal with the trauma. Because I've also seen, when you support the body on a physical level, it helps the client to cope with the emotional stuff. Because when you're weak in the body and you don't have all the vitamins and supplements and whatever magnesium deficiencies and stuff like that, you are not able to deal with your stress. Your brain doesn't have the capacity, to deal with it.
I agree with you on that, Charmaine. I think it's Dr. Monzo that teaches us that fear and stress and anxiety actually deplete the copper in your body, and that immediately puts your whole body, your hormonal system, the physical body at risk for diseases. So that's so important to help the body and support the body. And I think the work that we do is that we come alongside the body to help the body to get in that balance, the information it needs and that which it needs to release. And all, when we do scans with people, usually with all the body wants is natural remedies. It says this is what it wants. It's never the chemical stuff, because the body knows, and God created our bodies for us to heal itself. And by supplementing it with the right remedies and the right herbs, will actually just bring your healing process also to acceleration on a physical level, but then also on an emotional level and spiritual level.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So the next topic that I would like to talk to you about, Kirsty, is the different types of tinctures. So I know there's a lot of other things that we can talk about, foot baths and stuff like that. But for today, the purpose of today, if we're talking about tinctures that people can use, what are the different types of tinctures? And I know, we spoke also, having to give these herbs to little children, for example, the taste is not nice for them at all. So how would you then make a tincture for them as well? So if you can elaborate a little bit more on the different types of tinctures that you use.
Okay. So before I go into the tincture part of it, there's just a little bit of an understanding in terms of how we extract the beneficial properties and vitamins from herbs. So there are different techniques. One of the most prominent
I think she paused there for a moment.
Yeah. Oh, she'll be back. just now, I think. But yeah, for now, yes, I think at the end of the day, we need to have this understanding exactly, of how these different things work in our body. And like you say, like you said, Samuel, the body knows exactly, what it needs. So even if you take, I just say I'm not an expert, but even if you use a multivitamin, your body will take what it needs from that tincture. And at the end of the day, that is not harmful for you at all. There's nothing inside of that will affect the healing process of the body. So, Kirsty, you've just gone away for a little bit. I think it might be the signal, but we just lost you there at the beginning. So you can just start wherever
Oh,
you.
sorry.
Yeah, don't worry. That's
Okay.
fine.
Yeah, no, so I was just saying that I think that just so you understand why we would use a tincture and the different extraction methods. We use alcohol because alcohol extracts the most beneficial properties from the herbs and the barks and the roots. You do get multiple different ways of extracting things, but they're not as potent as when you use alcohol. So for example, you could start with a tea. So you could have like a mint tea or something. So that would extract some of the beneficial properties and the vitamins from the mint. However, if you increase that, you would do something called like a decoction. So you would steam it and brew it on a hot plate and like kind of simmer it for a while. And that brings out even more properties. But then when we use alcohol to extract it, it's kind of sitting for 6 weeks and it's really getting into every fiber and part of the plant and it's extracting the beneficial properties. The other thing is with the alcohol extraction, it's the most shelf stable. So you can often keep that for up to like 10 years. So in terms of having it in like your natural remedies tool belt, the tinctures are just really helpful to have as opposed to having like a glycerine extraction or something. So with the question with regards to children, and I know that some people really don't like the idea of having alcohol. So one of the easiest ways to kind of do that is remembering we're not drinking like 4 tablespoons of it. It's often just quite a few drops. What the best thing to do would be to put it in hot water because that evaporates the alcohol, but you're left with the beneficial properties of the herb. So often what I suggest people do is if it's for children and they're over a year old and you feel safe to do so, you could mix it with a little bit of honey. Otherwise, I could make it in terms of being more palatable for children. So we could make an alcohol glycerine mixture. So you've got the alcohol with the extraction and all the beneficial properties, but for the taste, you've got a little bit of vegetable derived glycerine that makes it a little bit more palatable for younger children. Equally, most herbs and roots and barks and everything can be made into syrups where it's not just the alcohol extraction in terms of a tincture, but definitely in terms of strength, shelf stability and extraction, alcohol is our safest one to go with.
Okay, wonderful. Because I think that's the most important question that I get from my clients as well, when we're talking about the alcohol. So you are also saying, the moment that you put that in hot water, the alcohol actually almost evaporates. So it's not something
Yes.
that's harmful for a
Yeah.
person to use.
Yeah. No, and also, I mean, it's kind of, yeah, I know I have a lot of people who I work alongside who prefer not to take alcohol because they haven't drunk alcohol or anything. So that is the one method, is that you can put it in hot water and then you're left with the beneficial properties. The other is the alcohol crosses that bloodstream barrier very quickly when it's put in your mouth under your tongue. So a lot of people do find that initially to begin with, what I have noted people tend to do is they start with the alcohol and the dropper and put it under their tongue. And the reason they do that is because they start to feel the benefits quite quickly. And then as they're starting to feel a little bit more stable, and better in kind of the ailment that they came forward for, they do the droppers in hot water and then eliminate the alcohol and kind of just have the beneficial properties of the herbs. But I have noted that there are a few people, especially when someone's struggling with something that's feeling quite overwhelming, like anxiety or depression, you know, we want to get those results quite quickly. So in terms of that, that's where the tinctures are really helpful, and you do start to feel the benefits quite quickly.
Yeah, and that's wonderful that you can actually place that under your tongue, because I know that a lot of the essential oil protocols that I do with my clients, I also tell them to do that. So especially for somebody that's struggling with their gut and the absorption
Yes,
in the gut, so
yes,
that would be
absolutely.
that would be a great way for them to actually use a tincture.
Yes. No, tinctures are incredibly versatile. And I think it's in terms of, you know, you can have single or multiple herb tinctures. They're very easy to custom blend in terms of what someone's specific ailments or requirements are. And like I said, the shelf stability is a major win in terms of having it. But it's important to note, whilst it's shelf stable, it's got no additives or preservatives or anything like that. It's completely natural.
Yes.
And it's the extraction, it's the vitamins and the minerals from the herbs and the barks and the roots and the seeds that we're using, as opposed to, you know, like we were saying, the synthetic vitamins that have the binders and the colors and everything. So in terms of gut health and everything as well, it only but improves it, because it's natural. It's from Abba Father's garden, and it's it just works harmoniously with your body.
That's so wonderful. So I would just like to really say thank you to you for coming on today. And I really hope that there will be people that will come into contact with you. I'm going to put your information in the description below. And then if there are any people that would like to come into contact with you, they can then contact you in that way. I think what would be wonderful as well is if people feel led to actually maybe also sow into your ministry, they can also do that by actually contacting you personally and speaking to you. I know we are living in days where God really wants to bring all of us together in a kingdom, like a kingdom principle, really, where He wants us to help and support one another. So I want to encourage anybody who's listening today who wants to support Kirsty as well in her ministry of healing and medicine. If you feel led, please contact her personally. You will find her information. And then, yes, it would be wonderful for us to do another podcast with you where we can maybe elaborate a little bit more on things like the feeds and why we do, footballs and things like that.
Absolutely. No, that'd be lovely.
Where we can speak
really
about
enjoy
that. Yeah, that will be very nice for us to do that. And yes, I think at the end of the day, it's also important to note that we don't always know what's wrong with our body. So we don't exactly know what are the deficiencies that we have in our body. What is our emotional state? What are the emotions, that we're struggling with? Or so that's where Samuel and I really have a heart for God's people, to minister and to really have a journey to walk with them. I think this is the thing that is lacking in the body of Messiah, is really to discipleship people in a way that will equip them with different tools to go on and experience healing in body, soul, and spirit. So for that purpose, I'm going to just place my details in the description below, as well as Samuel's website and his email address. For those of you who feel led, who feel, that you are struggling with certain things emotionally, if you don't know what is wrong in the body, if there are certain systems and organs in the body that you are not that you don't know, that's maybe out of place, but you cannot put your finger on that, you are more than welcome to contact us as well for a consultation with the bioresonance scans that we do. So, Kirsty, thank you so much. And thank you for your wisdom. I'm so glad that Abba has equipped you with the knowledge, you know, and we will definitely speak to you again.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And I'd really just like to say, from someone who has been walking this journey for a while, and I have seen the incredible benefits of working alongside Samuel as well. I mean, it's just to have all of that, like he was saying, you know, to be working on all those different areas is such a key in terms of healing and really becoming that person that others called you to be. So I think, yeah, I mean, from my side, it's just, I can't recommend it enough. It's been amazing. And it's just been such a journey of healing and fullness, like walking alongside him. And yeah, and I'm sure for the people who work alongside you, Charmaine, they feel the same. So yeah, I think it's incredible. So thank you for all you guys are doing as well.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. So we will schedule another podcast again very soon. And thank you so much for everybody that took time to listen to the podcast today. I hope that it has blessed you, and we're looking forward to, yes, just doing more of this, so that we can just help all of you on your road to healing. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.